Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced that he is pausing the controversial Judicial Overhaul bill, saying that he wanted to give time to seek a compromise over the bill with his political opponents. Now, further asserting on how he was not ready to divide the nation in half.
מתוך אחריות לאומית, מתוך הרצון למנוע את הקרע בעם, החלטתי להשהות בהי את הקריאה השנייה והשלישית של החוק במושב הזה של הכנסת, כדי לתת זמן לנסות להגיע לאותה הסכמה רחבה לקראת החקיקה במהלך הכנסת הבאה.
The announcement was made after Israel saw one of its biggest protests in its history. Tens of thousands of Israelis demonstrated outside the parliament, and workers launched a nationwide strike in a dramatic escalation of the mass protest movement in the country. Meanwhile, immediately after Netanyahu's statement, the head of the country's largest trade union said that it would call off a general strike that could have threatened to grind Israel's economy to a halt. Netanyahu has decided to suspend the vote on the second and third readings of the law in the session of the Knesset until Parliament returns after the break for the Passover holiday and Independence Day next month. His comments come just days after he sacked his own defense minister, Yoav Gallant, who had called for a halt to the legislative process, citing national security concerns. As the Israeli Prime Minister made the announcement, huge crowds gathered in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, including a large counter-demonstration by right-wing supporters of the Overhaul. Their presence further prompted fears of possible violence between the two sides, which resulted in the Israeli police using water cannons to disperse the protesters. While Netanyahu and his supporters say that the plans would ensure a proper balance between the elected government and the judiciary, critics say that it would destroy the checks and balances which protect the Israeli democracy. Now, the White House has further welcomed Netanyahu's pause on judicial reforms, further adding that the latest announcement comes as an opportunity to create additional time and space for compromise.
So we welcome this announcement as an opportunity to create additional time and space for compromise. Compromise is precisely what we have been calling for. And we continue to strongly urge Israeli leaders to find a compromise as soon as possible.
Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid has also said that his party is ready to start a genuine dialogue under certain conditions on the controversial Judicial Overhaul bill.
שמעתי את הצהרתו של ראש הממשלה נתניהו. אם החקיקה אכן תיעצר עצירה אמיתית ומוחלטת, אנחנו נכונים ללכת להידברות אצל נשיא המדינה.
ראש הממשלה הוא האחראי הראשון לקרע המסתמן בעם. אבל על כולנו, קואליציה ואופוזיציה, נושאים באחריות לאחות אותו. אין לאף אחד את הזכות להשתמט מהחובה הזו.
However, despite Netanyahu pausing the bill, Israelis say that there is no victory at all, and Netanyahu is only taking a break in order to come back stronger.
It's no different than all his statements. It's first of all, it's pure lies, as usual. He's just taking a break in order to come back stronger and to let the people, to send the people home. And he's, as usual, identified the weaker chain guns, and is trying to start talking with him. It's not going to do anything.
I'm not expecting anything from him. I'm expecting the other ministers in his government to break the coalition, so we will change the whole governmental situation in Israel. I have no expectation whatsoever from Bibi Netanyahu.
For the latest developments, we are joined by our correspondent Jody Cohen from Ranana, where does this pause leave the protests, the legislation and the coalition?
Hi, Shivan. So in terms of the protests, the week of paralysis that had been planned has actually been cancelled. But the umbrella protest group leaders are saying that the protests will very much continue And we can expect to see some focused protests, as well as the Saturday night large-scale rallies that we've been seeing over the last few months. But the IDF reservist group, Brothers in Arms, that's the army reservists, they say that they're going to pause their action, and the Histadrut, the powerful trade union, has called off the general strike. Now, in terms of the legislation, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that that will pass by the summer, but through consensus. Now, in an interview in the UK that he gave, he said that he believes the judiciary is too powerful, but sees that the proposals would make Parliament too powerful and that a balance is needed. And that seems to be potentially a position that many in the opposition might agree with. Now, Benny Gantz has spoken already with Netanyahu to welcome his move to pause the bill. Head of the opposition, Yair Lapid, has taken a more cautious approach, but nonetheless welcomes the freeze. And President Herzog has called on all parties now to start negotiating. Now, in terms of the coalition, there have been speculation that National Security Minister Ben Gvir might leave the coalition. He is staying in. Religious Zionism leader Bezalel Smotrich also said that keeping the coalition together is more important than passing the reforms right now. So it looks like the coalition is staying united. The legislation will be sought through agreement, but that the protests are likely to carry on.
Thank you for all those updates, Jody.
Thank you.